Wednesday edition, and we're glad that you're with us. A peek outside the AFA Today studio windows there shows you that it's a fully inactive, very active Times Square Wednesday here in New York City, and we're grateful that you're with us. And if I pull out on the camera on the AFA channel, for those of you who are watching by television, those of you listening by radio, you'll just have to let this play in your mind. But I want to make sure that we send a very clear message today, because Mayor Bloomberg, that's the sound of a 2-liter soda that was purchased in your city. Freedom tastes so good today. Oh, did you not hear? Yeah, Mayor Bloomberg got slapped down in court yesterday. A judge has said, hey, guess what, Mayor? You can't randomly say that people can't have large amounts of soda in your city. The AP reporting that the crackdown is going nowhere. The appeals court ruled Tuesday that the New York City's Board of Health exceeded its legal authority and acted unconstitutionally when it tried to put a size limit on soft drinks served in city restaurants. The state Supreme Court Appellate Division upheld a lower court decision that had delayed the measure before it took effect in March. The rule would stop many eateries from selling non-diet soda and other sugar-laden beverages in containers larger than 16 ounces. The beverage industry and other opponents say the measure is riddled with exceptions, unfair and ineffective, kind of like Obamacare. The city's law department has promised an appeal. This would be the third court that they're going to take it to, and they're going to lose. Here's the thing, okay? And pardon me one more time. It's very important that I must exercise my, it's a 2-liter. That's what it. It's very important to exercise freedom, and when people like mayors in large cities begin to do things in which they just feel like they can take rights away from people just because they say they can do it and then they try to do it, doesn't always make it so. And so thank you for the rest of America jumping on the bandwagon of common sense and helping to drive the mayor of New York into oblivion. Because this has been something that the whole nation joked about, the ridiculousness of not selling more than 16 ounces of soda at a time, and very grateful that Mayor Bloomberg got slapped down. It's just a good thing for politicians that feel like they're too big for their britches. They just need that every now and then. Anyway, welcome to AFA Today. Kevin McCulley, glad you're with us. If you'd like to know more about the slap down of the New York mayor, you can go to onenewsnow.com. They've got a couple of pieces up about it. And I've had my degree of fun with it on the air over the last year or so since he's tried to do that. But I will have some more fun today, I promise. Anytime we can check government in place, hold them accountable, remind them that they are not bigger and better than everybody else, that's a good thing. And so I celebrate by drinking soda on the air with you today, just as a way of celebrating the freedom that we have. All right, speaking of freedoms, they are disappearing one at a time. 888-589-8840, by the way. If you were to drink more than 16 ounces of some sugary soda in New York today, I'm curious, what soda would you pick? Would it be the ultra sugary Jolt Cola? Do they even make that anymore? How about Mountain Dew or one of those colas drinks that they have so many now? Have you noticed this? They're getting into the gourmet soda thing now. And what's the thing now? You can make it in your house. What's that about? I mean, it looks cool. I think I would make a total mess in my home on a regular basis if the lovely bride ever allowed such a thing to enter the McCulley abode, which is good reason why she never has. Anyway, speaking of freedom, we've got a number of things that are pressing on us news-wise today that actually have some merit and importance to them. There's a whole new round of leaks that have come out from Edward Snowden as he is holed up in Russia. He's released more and more information, more documents, and as a result, there are some people in Washington that are now being forced to release other documents. So there's a whole bunch of people that have been given access to the NSA metadata that we have talked so much about on this show. The metadata was gathered from the phone companies. This was the federal government saying, we're going to take all of the numbers that you've dialed. We're going to take all of the days that you dialed them. We're going to take all the documents of everything that you've done because it's a third party and because you contracted your phone service through a third party. We have the right to do it. Remember, we've had Brooke Goldstein on. She's explained all this from the legal point of view. Well, today, a broad range of officials, including those outside the NSA, potentially have access to the NSA metadata that we were told was under lock and key. We were told that these phone records were, nobody used them. Nobody used them except the parties that were responsible. Nobody, NS and National Security Administration, nobody else was going to mess with them. Well, that turns out not to be true. A broad range of officials, lots of different agencies. And get this, even plain old normal folk that are lower level in government positions have access to this information. And here's the real stunning part of it. Amid emerging claims that too many people have access to the information, including lower level workers, contractors like the NSA leaker Edward Snowden, the documents are describing a number of scenarios where people inside and outside the NSA can tap into the information. One declassified surveillance court order, which according to the Washington Post was an order to Verizon, says that access to the phone metadata is restricted to authorized personnel who have received appropriate and adequate training. Wow, that's tough language, isn't it? Well, we're not going to let anybody at this stuff unless they've had appropriate and adequate training. At the same time, a footnote says the court understands that technical personnel responsible for NSA's underlying corporate infrastructure and the transmission of the data will not receive special training. Okay, for those of us that don't live in the world of computer geek, here's what that's saying. Not only will the people that have been trained adequately and given appropriate access to the information have the access to the information, but so will the IT nerds that are down there keeping all the computers connected so that the wires don't pop out when the earthquakes happen. And they haven't been given any kind of security clearance or anything else. So what you have, and please, when I use the term computer nerd, and I think my producer of this broadcast would consider himself a computer nerd, or maybe or maybe not. I know he came from the engineering world. I only use that term. It's not a derogatory term. It's a term of absolute affection because these people are so smart, I don't even begin to know what they're talking about when they talk to me. So please don't, Kev, you're hurting all the IT people. No. I love IT people. IT people save my life all the time. They come and find, the files that I thought were gone, and they ask me questions like, why did you erase your whole hard drive? Stuff that I really probably should know not to do, but if it weren't for them, I'm telling you, I'd be in so much trouble. So I love computer nerds. But what this story is basically telling us is that you have a whole host of IT guys that are running around keeping the system put together and know how to operate everything that don't have security clearances, that also have all the access to all the information of the metadata that we were told it's like only one or two people that have the information of the metadata. That's how safe it is. We will make sure that this doesn't go anywhere. Except now that Edward Snowden has put it out there, the government's been forced to admit today that there are actually hundreds, maybe thousands of people that have access to the data that the NSA collected on all of us without telling us and without our permission from our phone calls, all the records of our phone calls, the times and dates and places that we made the calls and who we made the calls to, how long they lasted, all that stuff. The order goes on to describe how a store of information is created and how a trained personnel can query the data using certain criteria and search for valid foreign intelligence purposes. That information, the order says, can be shared among properly trained NSA analysts, and from their top officials, including the NSA director, can authorize certain information be shared outside of the NSA with other executive branch personnel. Who's executive branch? Oh, yeah, that's the White House. Provided it is related to counterterrorism. So what we've been told here is that you can share private Joe citizens' information with the White House and beyond, as long as they label it related to counterterrorism. I wonder what they mean by that. 888-589-8840. I wonder what they mean by that. Because honestly, I'm pretty sure I remember that Eric Holder went to the FISA court and said, Judge, you need to give me permission to tap James Rosen's phone lines. Yeah, that's the ticket. And the judge said, well, wait a minute, who's James Rosen? Oh, that's a reporter for Fox News. Okay, Mr. Holder, why do you want me, the FISA court judge, to give you permission to tap his phone lines? Well, Judge, we believe that there's a leak in the government, and well, you know, Mr. Holder, we're not all that concerned about the leaks that the White House gives to the people. That's not really the court's concern. Well, yeah, Judge, but what you don't understand is that I'm Eric Holder, and you're supposed to just do whatever I say because I said it. Sorry, Mr. Holder, it doesn't work that way. Okay, what would I need to say to you, Judge, in order for you to give me permission to tap Mr. Rosen's phone lines? Well, you would have to have reason to believe that national security, counterterrorism, was involved in some way. Oh, yeah, that's it, Judge. I forgot to tell you. I think James Rosen's phone lines are somehow connected to counterterrorism. In fact, I think he's a co-conspirator in a crime. How's that? Does that work? Much better, Mr. Holder. Thank you. Now we can give you the search warrant to go and bother a private citizen that did nothing more than his job, but because you lied to the FISA court about the importance of what you were going to go get and find out, and how it was related to, quote, counterterrorism, and how he had, quote, been a co-conspirator to a crime, I guess we can give you permission to go do that to him now. Oh, and not just him, by the way. Why don't you tap mom and dad's phone lines too? Because, at the end of the day, if James Rosen is a terrorist, then I'm sure his mom and dad living in the middle of Wheatfield, Kansas, are probably terrorists too. So why don't you just tap all of their lines? Friends, I'm being facetious, obviously, but I'm doing so to point out that what we have here is another lie that was told to the American people. When the lie about the NSA metadata farming was uncovered, their reaction was, no. You don't understand. Only a couple of people and very high level clearance, and only the ones that could be trusted. As it turns out, there are hundreds of people, maybe thousands, from lower level folks, from IT guys that don't have any security clearance, all the way up to the official NSA officials that are supposed to be officially watching the official watcher program so that we can officially get the counterterrorism officials doing the official stuff. I'm so sick and tired, weary, worn out of these folks, and they're flat out lying to us. Your thoughts on this next. 888-589-8840. I'm going to go drink some sugary soda. See you after the break.
An American Family Minute with Kendra White of American